Welcome everyone to another afternoon edition of Dogging It. Molina Mike here, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the pool world, and I'm excited to be on with you today. We got something unique and interesting to go, or not something unique, someone unique and interesting to go enjoy in the show. I always like people that are real original and that can go and create their own thing, man, and make it successful. So it's kind of an industry edition show of Dogging It. So for you amateur players out there, I think there's something that you'll want to go and tune into. But I won't go and waste any more time. I'm gonna bring him on. This is my buddy Jack Murray of Mob Productions. Jack, how are you, my man?
Great, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I've been meaning to go and knock out this interview for probably the last, what are we in August now?
I think we
March.
talked about
So
September once at at Nationals, but you guys have been amazingly busy. You've got some great things going on,
thanks,
and we
man.
have too. And actually, it's a kudos to where pool is right now.
Right.
Pool is probably in the best state I've seen in a long time. I was just enjoying the watching the ladies play in Canada here before we got on the air.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's been a great event out there. They're actually right in the middle. Like it's the second day of the pro event out there at the Canadian Open. We were supposed to have Grant Nazi on back when I was in Sacramento, and I've been having some audio problems. So I kind of, not kind of, I told him let's just circle back and try to get it done before the event. But that event was real long, and then coming back home, it was tough, kind of going and finding a rhythm. But we'll do our best to get him back on here pretty soon, along with probably some players and maybe even Damien this afternoon from Jam Up. So we got a
Oh,
bunch
that'd
of
be awesome. Damien's doing some great stuff. We're actually working with him possibly to put out some fun mob stuff too. So it's I love what Damien's doing with Jam Up.
yeah, me as well. He's a good friend and a good friend of the show. So let's just jump into what you're doing, Jack. The one thing that struck me, like, there's plenty of tournaments that go on across the country. The one thing
Hmm.
that stuck out with me when it came to you guys is the type of events that you guys put on. I know that you guys are based out of Las Vegas, but it seems like you guys are going to be pegging around the U.S. here pretty soon.
Right. We started with Mob Productions in 2021, coming out of the pandemic, and it was just kind of local. We wanted to do more tournaments and essentially wanted getting more people playing pool, competitive pool, as we were kind of coming out. But we wanted to do things that were exciting, and it started locally here in Vegas. But we are branching out this year. We've got a really exciting event we're going to do up with Oscar and Desiree at Hard Times in Sacramento, and then next year in 2023. Rebecca, Jason, and I are talking about the possibility of maybe a mob road show where we do more like 6 to 7 events out in different areas. Maybe Arizona, Florida, Texas, some other markets that we don't always reach, but we have a lot of people that travel to our events from. So it's really kind of fun to see where we can go and what we can do with that.
Yeah, I've been noticing that a bunch of my friends from North Texas have been going out there to Las Vegas and play at Griff's. And the one thing that makes it different is because of those buy-ins and the payouts. So let's talk a
Oh
bit about
yeah,
that, man.
yeah, it sticks out. Just we're just to kind of tease it a little bit. We have a big tournament this Saturday and Sunday coming up at Putters and Rum Runner here in Vegas. It's called the Gilligan. It's a 540 and under $500 buy-in, but with all of the side pots and possibly buying yourself in the online Calcutta, which is going on now on auctionpro.co. The first place with no side pots or Calcutta is going to be about 10 grand. And for amateur
For an
players to
amateur
have that
event.
kind of experience, to really be able to be under that pressure of the gun like that, to see where it is, it's a great experience to be able to test their metal and see where they are. And it's really fun and exciting.
Well, pool players have been known to gamble a little bit
Just
and
a bit.
go just a little bit, yeah. Going and having these big buy-ins really makes it exciting for an amateur player to be in an environment that's competitive for him using these,
Hmm.
Fargo Cap tournaments that you guys have going on. What are you guys doing to like ensure the integrity of the players that go and enter in your events, Jack?
Well, that's an excellent question because if you would have asked me to do this concept, say 10 years ago without Fargo rate, it wouldn't have been possible. because there's no way players would have trusted a rating system in a different state that they would be competitive, and tournament directors wouldn't trust necessarily out of state players coming as a quote B player
Right.
to where they would be. And really, Fargo Rate gives us the tool to be able to do this. So when you talk about integrity, everybody asks and they say, "Oh, well, people can work a system, they can do this, they can do that." Well, first off, when we announce one of our new events, like we just did recently for the Moby Dick, which will be held February 4th and 5th in Putters and Rum Runner here in Las Vegas. What we do is we draw a skill level from a range, and we don't make the range really public, but that people have to be at or below that skill level on the day we draw, as well as when they register. So that prevents somebody from seeing, oh, there's $1,000 tournament that's a 580 and under. I'm a 600. Let me drop a few games to get under that.
Right.
But also the thing that I have to really thank are the people at Fargo Rate. And the reason I say that is I'm going to pull something up here on my Fargo Rate app. But when a player comes to me to sign up for a tournament, if it's a 540 and under and they're within 10 to 15 points of the range, I'll require them to show me their data history on the app. And what that does is it lets me see how they've played consistently throughout the career of their data. And that lets you see, is there a trend? Did they go 2 and out or 3 and out in the last 4 tournaments to make something? Or did they do something? The great news is, what's that?
What are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for a lot of things, some of which I don't always want to tell people, but it's really the trends of what they may be doing in competition. Are they going to low dollar tournaments and losing games to possibly move the rating down or something? But really, I'm just looking to see where their trends are and what the rating is, because if somebody is consistently playing at a certain level, they're going to be good at that level, and I'm confident with it. Right. Because the hardest thing about pool, and you know this as well as I do, I'm a 580 in pool. I can be a 580 today. I can play a match tomorrow at 680 speed, and I can play a match Friday at 480 speed. We're amateurs. We have a huge inconsistency. So if you see somebody play a match or two and they're playing at their top gear, you're going to think that person's underrated or saying sandbagging. And that's usually not the case. It's just the inconsistency of amateur pool. But also, whoever wins a tournament is generally playing to the best of their ability on that day. So if you go to and do some of the different breakdowns in a specific tournament performance, sure, they probably played higher than their rating was that day. But if you look at their trend of how they are over time, that just means that person played well. And you should never be punished for playing well.
That's an interesting statement. You should never be punished for playing well, especially considering you guys are using Fargo Rate. I'm curious, whenever you have these, like let's say a 580 and under, is it just even from there? Like if a 450 wants to go and enter in that 580, if they're playing, let's say, a said 580, am I playing that person even, or is it going to be handicapped based off of Fargo when you enter your event?
So our high dollar entry events, which we have about 7 of, are all non-handicapped. Other than the only handicap is the skill level cap.
Right.
We started this originally. My good friend Jason Osborne in town wanted to run $1,000 entry, 580 and under, 10-ball tournament, and he had the perfect name for it, the Moby Dick. It's the biggest one out there, the great white whale. And he and I decided we were going to do that. And then the brains of the operation, my fiance Rebecca, came out and told us we needed to do this as a business, and she came up with a Mob Productions aspect. But our principal goal is if people are going to put up $1,000 or $500 or a big money for a tournament, they're going to want to play even. That's a best of the best concept. Now, we do run tournaments. Like in September, we have a 480 and under that's a $90 entry, 180 all in with side pots that's handicapped. That's not on my little screen over here because I just did the whoppers on that one. But it's that's one that we do, and we'll have those. Now, you can find our entire list of tournaments on our website, mobbilliards.com. Mobbilliards.com, it's at the bottom of that list. That shows everything on it. But we do run some lower dollar events for that. But when you're putting the big money up and we're doing Calcuttas, that's for straight race tournaments. But what we do is we do them for all skill levels. We have the Puddle Jumper that started as a 450 and under. We have the Gilligan that started as a 520 and under. We had the Moby Dick that started as a 580 and under. We had the Mako that started as a 650 and under. We have the Gunslinger, and on the right here, you'll see the Megalodon that are 720 and under. And 720 is considered the cutoff between an amateur and a pro. It's a fine line there, but that's really why we went to the 720 and under.
It's up for debate.
We're giving every skill level of amateurs an opportunity to have a big money tournament.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Are you getting players from all across the country? And if so, I'm curious, how do you go and judge? Because let's say like a Texas 500 may not be the same as a California 500, and may not be the same as a New York 500, and so on and so forth.
That is my favorite question that people ask me, because that's actually not really a correct statement. And part of what it is, and I'm going to try my best not to get on my Fargo Rate soapbox, because one of the things I love about Fargo Rate is when I play in a tournament and I play somebody, I'm now connected to that person and everybody they've played and everybody those people have played and so on. So I'm connected to Shane Van Boning, the Coe brothers. I've got over 5,000 games in Fargo Rate. I'm part of the whole global network. So as a 580, if I play another 580 that's well connected to, say, 200 plus games or more, I know that's going to be a pretty competitive match. Unlike local league ratings that, like, they may have an A, B, C, or D, or they use them in different regions, but it's just specifically off of that group of player. With those groups, there's no connectivity outside of their island, if that makes sense. But what gives us the confidence of people coming up, because this weekend we have 64 players playing in the Gilligan, 17 states are being represented outside of Nevada. So we'll have people from 18 states playing this week, and you're going to see a wide diversity of matchups with it. And we've got Texas. Yeah, your boys in Texas are coming out. We've got about 10 people from Texas, 12 from Washington. There's, I want to say, one from Hawaii, one from Alaska.
That's awesome,
few out
man.
there
All
from
across
Florida.
the country,
There's a lot of travel that comes because they like the events, and also the payoff is worth the risk and reward of the travel.
Well, yeah, when you talk about that kind of return, and if you like where you're at and how you're getting your money in, of course you're going to want to go and take a shot. Plus, I mean, any excuse to go to Vegas, why not, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the benefits we have, is we were based in a desirable location anyways. Everybody comes here, you go 2-0 in the tournament, you've got the rest of Vegas to have fun with. But it also, people come here, we find they're serious about the pool. You know, they're not staying out too late on Friday night. They've got a 9 a.m. match on Saturday morning. They're going to be bright and early for the most part with that. They take it seriously, and we love to see that.
That's
but
pretty awesome.
there's excitement about it. One of the things that I absolutely enjoyed, I sorry to mean to cut you off there, but when we had the recent drawing for our Mako, which is the 641 and under, that's going to be at Griff's the second weekend in December, we had that at 64 players. We had that full with 10 people on the waiting list in 2 weeks. And that's people paying a $200 non-refundable deposit. So those are serious people playing on that. We opened it up to 80 players, and it filled up in about another hour. So there's a lot of people that really like the concept, and they like that competitiveness. And once again, I keep tooting their horn, but we couldn't do this without Fargo Rate.
Fargo Rate is a friend of the show. Mike and them are awesome, and I really enjoy being out there in Vegas and hanging out with you guys, with Team Fargo Rate, and of course my boys from Salado, who I've been meaning
to absolutely Colby and Reed.
Wyoming. Yeah, no, they're amazing people. And they're just solid human beings in general. But what games are you playing on? Is it different each event that you go to, Jack? And more importantly, what size table are you playing on? Because that's a big difference.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. The majority of our events that we run right now are on 7-foot tables. And that's primarily based because Vegas is a 7-foot 9-ball city. I tip my hat to the Southern Nevada 9-ball pool league that they had here dating back to the late 70s, early 80s. That used to have over 1,200 members in it. It really geared this city thinking bar table 9-ball. I've never been to a city that bar table's the table and they weren't playing 8-ball. It's kind of strange, but they still love the action. Now, pool rooms like Griff's and Good Times, and banging balls have opened up with 9-foot tables, and we're seeing more play come out that way. But really, in this town, it's more of a bar table town. But I've also found on the amateur side, I would say it's about 70% prefer bar tables. The high skill level players will talk big tables, but they still certainly come out for the Mako in waves, because the Mako is 10 ball and that's on the bar table. So the Mako and the Mako is 641 and under. The Moby Dick is 580 and under. Those are on bar tables and 10 ball. The Gilligan and the Puddle Jumper are 9 ball on bar tables.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Jack, just for the sake
Yep.
of argument, because I like to stir things up and have a little bit of fun with you. Okay, so let's say I grind my teeth building my Fargo rate based off of playing on 9-foot competition. And we see it all the time when you have a major bar table tournament. You can go look at the one in Minnesota going on right now. I guarantee you there's going to be some quote unquote shortstop that is going to be able to beat some pro because they can go and sustain well enough on a bar table to win a race to 7 or a race to 9, but they've built up their who they are based off of a 9-foot. How do you go and combat that? Because if I'm, let's say, a 550 on the 9-foot, hell, I can go and play 650 speed on the bar table. It's a completely different game.
Well, first off, I would love to have Mike Page have that conversation with you, because I know he's going to argue, especially the numbers difference. If you do play a little bit better, it's probably 10 to 20 points, not 100, especially on an average or a norm going from one table to another. But also, your rating is based on what you play the most on. So you're right, you play on a 9-foot table, but you'll be amazed how many people go from a 9-foot table to a 7-foot table and all of a sudden have a little bit of an issue because now they can't let their stroke out as much. Because on a 9-foot table, you build your stroke as well, your game for that. And now you have to be a little bit hesitant on some things. I see it all the time where a 9-foot table player comes into a bar table tournament thinking he's stealing, and they go 2 and out or 3 and out. So you see it both ways. I've run a lot of tournaments, both bar tables and 9-foot tables, dating back to '99. Most of that time, early time, was big tables. And when we'd go up to bar table tournaments, the people who were the locals at the bar usually won the tournaments that were used to the equipment or the size, depending on whether it was big tables or big tables or 7-footers. So there's statistical facts that Mike has about 7 and 9, and I see Shorty Dancer up here has that Mike does have a video of 7-foot versus 9-foot, which I'd love to have you watch. Go to YouTube, the Fargo Rates channel, watch that. You get to hear the mellow tones of Mike Page, but it's a great statistical analysis of breaking down players who have played on both enough matches on both and see how they were rated.
See, we look at things different, man, because I'm an eye test kind of guy. If I see someone on paper that's supposed to be like, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say Jesse Bowman, right? I don't know if you know who Jesse is, but he's an amazing bar table player.
Yeah, he destroyed me the first year of ACS. I know him well.
Bar table 8-ball specialist. You go and have him match up against Federer on the bar table. It's gonna be about even. Hell, Jesse may even go and have a little bit of an edge. Not for the casual fans perspective, but people who know bar table pool will know what Jesse's capable of. Now you go and play 10 ball on, let's say, even a 9-foot table. Completely different game, Jack. It's not.
Yeah, no, it is,
and I don't think it'll be close.
It is. I'm gonna save that conversation for you and Fargo Rate, because they've got the numbers, they've got the data on that. I look at things on more of a long term, not a one match situation, because anybody can beat anybody on any given day, depending on the size of the match of what you're going to do. Yes, a bar table in my mind is a bit of a neutralizer. I do agree with that. It's an equalizer. Yeah. But I don't think you're going to see Federer shying away from posting up on that match.
What, playing Jesse some bar table 8-ball?
Yeah. I think he jumped.
I don't think Jesse would want to go and be dumb enough to want to play him even. No. But from a gambling standpoint, you would, like, if I can go and get Jesse, and I've done it before, we go and get Jesse getting a couple games against Federer, because it's more of a marquee name versus a not. But my point is that it's the skill level based off of the table, and that's why I think a lot of these guys a lot of top players, pros in particular, they're not a big fan of Fargo Rate. They're not a big fan of playing on the bar table because it is more of a neutralizer. It's just
you said two things there in one sentence. They're not a fan of the bar table and not a fan of Fargo rate, but I would say for different reasons. Not a lot of the top players aren't a fan of Fargo rate because it limits some of the things that they can do. But not a fan of bar tables, of course. You know, if you're testing yourself and pushing yourself on the big tables and playing professionally, you don't want to go to a circumstance where a 650 could possibly beat you in a match in that sense. So, you know, I understand that aspect, but like I said, I'm going to leave the Fargo rate numbers to Fargo rate for them to explain on it. I just know that from my experience as a tournament director, Fargo rate has proved pretty dang accurate to me over the long run. And when you watch and see as many matches as you do when you sit behind the tournament desk, you can ask Rebecca as well. She runs tournaments better than I do even.
You're a smart man, Jack.
Pretty consistent. Dang right. I know. I know.
No, I get it. You know, Fargo rate has its place in pool without a doubt. You know, but just like anything else, I mean, hell, look at the event that we just watched. We just watched a pro tournament where the break was changed in order to go and combat players going and figuring things out. You know, and like anything else, you give them enough time and enough pool players together, they're gonna figure out a way to kind of shorten it up and increase their odds.
So I compare pool to golf because they're probably the two most mental games that are similar, individual games that you play as that have a mental toughness as well as your performance, what you do. How often have you heard what Tiger Woods or Justin, one of the pros, I just blanked on names, but Dustin Johnson's handicap is? They don't talk about it in the pros. It's irrelevant. Because of the pros are playing heads up, non-handicapped and all of that. But why is golf so big on the amateur ranks? Why is there so much money in golf? And that dates back to them getting the USGA handicap system so that a player in Florida can travel to a course in California, play an event, play a tournament, match up with people, and be comfortable doing so. That is what Fargo rate does for pool. Okay, well, I'm not talking pros and the elites, because when we're talking pros and the elites, we're talking 0.1% of the pool players out there. I like referring to more than 95% of the pool players out there, which are the ones that pay for and fund all the billiard economy. They're the ones buying all the cues, spending the money in the pool rooms, promoting tournaments, playing tournaments, buying your one pocket gear, which I love you sporting. That's awesome. I love the one pocket gear you guys have. But they're the ones that the 650 and unders, the 700 and under Fargo rate players, the 450 and unders, the 200s that you don't even think exist, are the ones that really put the money into the game. And that's what happens in golf. When TaylorMade brings out a new $600 driver, they're not thinking about the guys trying to make it on the pro level. They're thinking about the guy that wants to beat his 25 handicap buddy by a stroke next time they play, because that guy's going to go buy it in a heartbeat if his buddy gets it and starts out driving it. What Fargo rate does is it gives us as amateurs the ability to go out and play and compete. It gets us the ability to travel and do these things. It makes pool a truly global game where I can go play a tournament in London or China or South America if they're using Fargo rate and feel comfortable with pool in general. But when you try to break the pros down to the amateurs, the conversation isn't even relevant. It's like apples and helicopters, because the pros don't need Fargo rate. It does give the pros a scale of where their performance has been in tournaments. You know, you see somebody who's a 750 trying to get to a 780 in that level. You see the Shanes that are up in the 830s and those, it gives them benchmarks. But that's really all it is. For the mass of pool players, it lets us travel. It lets us do things. It opens up everything. And Mob Productions wouldn't be able to do anything of what we're doing without that ability. Because I spent 20 years living in Arizona, and Arizona had one of the greatest in-state rating systems. It was started at a 4 and went to a 12, which they called a 10-2. They had over 15,000 players rated in the state of Arizona.
Nice.
We had meetings every 3 months. Problem was, what happens when someone comes from out of state? People come in, you try and judge them by watching them, that eye test you talked about. Well, when the eye test, is that person playing a good game? Is it playing a bad game? Does he know he's being watched? What's going on? when you actually get games recorded in a system and how it works with the analysis and needing 200 games to actually have a Fargo rate, it gives you something to latch onto and hold on to. So I really love that. And like I said, I told you I wasn't going to get on my soapbox, but I lied. That's why I'm a proponent of Fargo rate. And the places in this country that really don't have a lot of it yet are the places that don't understand what it does. And it's going to be nationwide here within a little bit. I love the fact that Q Sports International just announced that they're doing a new event in Atlantic City. That's on the East Coast. There's not as much Fargo rate, but you're going to see a lot more of it coming out there.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing nothing but growing. And everywhere you look, there's CSI events all over the country and pairing amateur and pro events. And I just, I hope that people go and enjoy themselves, number one, and that they're going and having a great time out at your events. And I've heard nothing but great things, coming from you guys. And that's why I've always just connected with you all. What happens when you get these guys coming from out of state? Has there ever been any instance when you've had to go and pull a plug on someone or had any issues with the integrity in one of the events, Jack?
I haven't had an issue where it was extreme in a single event, but I have had players that we've watched and said, okay, you need to, we're not going to allow you in this range again in that sense. But It wasn't dramatic. It was maybe somebody was playing consistently 10 to 20 points over, and we're saying just go to the next tournament up instead of playing the Moby Dick, playing the Mako next time.
So that's like when they're right on that cusp then.
It's right on the cusp. But that's also where the draw comes in, us drawing the skill level caps. We really haven't had that much of an issue with it because first off, in order to be eligible for our high dollar events, you also have to have 500 game robustness in Fargo rate. Now, Fargo rate considers you to have a
two, right?
What's that? 200.
Fargo rate 200? Right, yeah.
Fargo rate considers a legitimate rating at 200.
I like that.
But the difference is the more data you get in, the more reliable your rating is. The harder it is to move, the harder things go with it. And that's why we require a minimum of 500 games to be eligible for our high entry events. That also gives me, when I showed you that tracking, when I go and look on there, of people who have potentially tried to manipulate their rating. And we have found people who were trying to do so. It's a very small number. I think of the whole time I've done this, I've found maybe 3 or 4, and no, I'm not outing them because they've actually been they've already gotten worse. They got banned from Fargo rate. They got banned from Salado. They no longer can hold a Fargo rating because of the fact that they were manipulating it to get into a tournament. And it's not worth the penalty. Just play honest, play good, and as we say, our slogan in Mob is play pool, have fun, and mob on. Just keep playing and do your best.
Well, let's talk about what you got coming up, Jack. You got a 540 and under this weekend out of Putters in Las Vegas, and then from there, it looks like you got a 580 and under out in Putters again in Las Vegas.
Most of these are in Vegas. We have 2 back-to-back. One is the Mob event. The 580 and under put up or shut up is a local event that Derek Lorcher started at Putters 8 years ago, and he just asked me to take it over and run it for him. It's a $300 entry, single elimination, race to 11 with all the side pots at $750 in plus Calcutta. We've already got 29 players signed up for it, but we're looking to get possibly up to 40, 45, so we'll still take entries on that. The Megalodon is the high entry tournament that all the top players that keep telling us that there's no tournaments for them in this range because everyone's giving the money to the lower rated players. That's their tournament, but we need them to start signing up for it because we don't have a lot of entries in that yet. It's a race to 9 on the winner side.
Why do you think that is, Chuck?
I don't know. There's a lot of different things out there. $1,000 is a lot of money, first off. So some of the top players may not have it, but they may have backers or groups that want to put them in. It's $1,600 all in with side pots if they want it in everything. But I think it's a little bit of they see a 540 winning $12,000-$15,000 in a tournament. They say, well, I don't have a chance at that. I can't get that money. But when they're looking at it putting up their own money and playing their own peers that way, do they still want to do that? or are they thinking about it?
Yeah,
Because the problem is a lot of
right.
top players, they want to be the big fish in a pond. They want a lot of dead money in a pool. These tournaments don't have a lot of dead money. You know, we have 64 players, probably 55 of them have a chance to win this tournament this weekend. So that's one of my theories. Is I've never liked the concept that dead money makes a good tournament. I like it if everybody in the tournament has a chance. You're going to get more people playing. So it just depends on that. But I don't know. That's 9-ball on 9-foot tables. So that's your big tables, your big track for the better players. It's at Griff's, and also sometimes that might be one where they just hold on to their money longer and don't give the deposits until the week or two before. In that sense, so we'll see on that. But they asked for it, so we gave it to them, and we'll at least try it for them to see where we go. And then is a tournament that I'm really excited for because I haven't been to Hard Times yet, and I've always wanted to get up to Oscar and Desiree's room. I've heard so many great things about it, and they do so many fantastic things for pool with the juniors, and they just had the Crockett Memorial. I think you were up there for that, I believe.
I spent about 10 days or so out there with Oscar and Desiree, and Golden State Billiards is a part of the Dog in It family, and so it's Hard Times.
Absolutely.
I can tell you, you will not go and be disappointed. And I told Oscar and Desiree this, like the first impression that I had walking into that place was how clean it was. And that's, it's a weird I get that impression, but when you go to enough pool rooms, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, but not just that, Jack, the people there are great. It's a big dysfunctional family. There's a lot of characters. But it's class. They got a real nice tournament side, and then they got the other side of it with a bunch of tables. Colin out there doing the streaming. It's a lot of fun, and I guarantee you're going to have a great time. I'm actually probably going to be going back out there for. They got a big $10,000 added one pocket event, so
Yep.
hopefully we'll make it back out there for that.
That's going to be a great tournament.
But it's a fantastic place. They got really great food on top of that. I mean, just it really does check all the boxes. I'm not just saying that because they're good personal friends of mine. So
oh no, absolutely. I know the same thing just from everybody I've heard. What we're really excited about with this tournament is, it's a $500 entry, 9-foot 9-ball table. It's going to be 9 on the spot with a template rack. With it, it's a like I said, 650 and under format. But it's 2 tournaments in one for the weekend. There's $1,000 added warm-up tournament Friday night. That's a single elimination, $150 buy-in 10-ball tournament. And then we have the main event, which is $2,500 added. It's a race to 9 on the winners, 7 on the losers, double elimination. It's going to be a fantastic format, and really, really excited to go up for that one. No, they do so much for pool, and I love partnering with people who are looking to grow the game, not just grow their pocketbook.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, and but inspiring is what I mean by that. More importantly, like it's ridiculous how much they do for pool, because it blows my mind sometimes. They're 2 of the nicest people I've ever met. Very selfless. Oscar, coming from a place of, he used to be a traveling player and he knows the grind of it all. He really looks out for everyone. He tries to make it worth your while. And I tell you, man, like even just what was it like? Just their Friday night tournament was, I don't remember how many players they got, but I think it was a single elimination 8-ball tournament, and even that thing was deep. I mean, it's packed there all the time.
Yeah.
And you can usually find all kinds of action there on top of that, from one pocket to rotation and flipping coins if that's what you want to do. It's a great experience. I recommend anyone out there in California to go check it out if you haven't been already. What else you got coming up, Jack?
Then we have in the second weekend in December, we have the Mako, the 641 and under $1,000 entry 10-ball on a bar table. That is a full field at the moment. It's 80 players. We've got about 15 on the waiting list. We are debating whether we're going to open up to 96, but we have to be careful there, because the last thing we want is to have a field so large you have to play till 2 or 3 in the morning and then play again at 9 a.m. We want people to come out and enjoy the tournament with it. And then the one we just announced is the Moby Dick, which will be February 4th and 5th. We always put that as the weekend between the division championship games and the Super Bowl. because Rum Runner is a Packers bar. My Viking fandom hates that, but it's a Packers bar.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And there's always a slight chance the Packers might get there, so you never know.
Oh no, they'll probably be in the playoffs, and then they'll go out in the divisional round like they do every year. Yeah.
Rebecca's going to kill you. So, anyways, that tournament we still have some openings for. We just announced it last week. I believe we have 40 or 42 paid entries or reserve spots as of now. And one thing I'd also like to say is we have a lot of tournament directors across the country that ask us about running qualifiers for these events. So you've got $1,000 entry tournament. If you can get 16 players together throwing in $80, you can pay the tournament. You can do some money back, whatever it is, some greens fees for the house and the tournament director. We work with a lot of TDs to do these. So if somebody ever wants to run a qualifier, let them know that they're always welcome to reach out to us for it. We're happy to do it. We always set some aside here to do locally. And if you go to our website and you see the player list, you'll see qualifiers with TD's names next to it who have asked us to reserve things. Because that's a great way, again, for people who, they can't fork out $1,000 for a tournament, but if they can do 100, now all of a sudden they get a chance to
parlay that $100
into $20,000.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
So no, we've got a lot of things going with that. I'm really excited about it, and we're working on probably sitting down in the next month or so to really solidify 2023, what we want to do. If there's any pool rooms that want us to come and include them in our potential road tour that we do, they're always welcome to reach out to us as well. So we're happy to talk to people. We checked out Racks when we were in Orlando recently. I know that's a really great room. Dominic does a lot of stuff out of there. And just see the different rooms across the country where we could possibly do some different events, whether it's the high end or do some different tournaments. So we're really excited about it.
That sounds like a ton of fun. Guys who are playing league and playing tournaments, this is their way to kind of go and take a big swing and hope for a really great payday. And not just that, but get a great experience by going out there to Las Vegas or whether it's Sacramento or whatever else you guys have planned.
I think Rebecca's giving us a hint there. I'm not sure.
I don't think that's a hint. I think that's about as direct as you can go and get it. And we mentioned this Lotto Boys, and like I said, they're great friends of mine, great friends of the show. And I know you got something going on with them as well. So let's talk about that.
Absolutely. We talked with Colby and Reed over a while, trying to figure out a way that we could partner with them because we loved what they did. But it's hard to do a tournament nationally. So you really can't do a tournament if you're not actively in the same area and playing people. So what we came up with, the Mob Hit List, which is a worldwide player list competition. So you joining the Mob Hit List through Salado, I think it's $25, gets you a 9-month subscription through Salado plus membership into the Mob Hit List, and playing anybody else that's on the hit list. When you play matches, it awards you points for winning and losing, and it awards you points for the difficulty of the match. So let's say, Mike, let's say you're a 650 and I'm a 580. If we play an even match, I'm the underdog in that match. You as a higher rated player would get 10 points for a win, 3 points for a loss. I may be, if I'm between a 30 and 39% underdog, I'd get 12 points for a win, 5 for a loss. If I am a 29% dog or worse, of course, got to use the word dog in it on this show, but a 29% dog or worse, I get 15 points for a win, 7 for a loss, because it encourages people to step up and play out of their shell with that. And if you go to our website, themobbilliards.com, we have a separate part for the Mob Hit List, and we have 4 hit lists. We have a $3.99 and under, a $4.99 and under, a $5.99 and under, and the first year we did a $6.99 and under. But I have a hunch we're going to change that up. We need to talk with the guys. That may end up just being an open list going north after that, because there may be some people in the low 700s that want to be part of it too. But what it does is it gets you a way to play your matches, whether you're gambling or not. You can gamble, but you don't have to, because we want to encourage more people to play competitive pool. And there's some people that just don't like gambling. They want to play honest, but they want to play pool and play and compete. We also want juniors to come out, and I don't want to push juniors into gambling if they're not wanting to in any of that aspect. We would love to have juniors play as part of this. So you don't have to gamble as part of it, but any match you play that goes in, it goes into Fargo rate. So it will build your robustness. Every rating goes in. So you're building your robustness in an area that doesn't have tournaments and leagues to play. If you've got your BCA leagues and tournaments, great. But if you don't, this is a great opportunity. But it also, you're competing on a list against people. We have people playing in Australia, the East Coast, of course, Wyoming, where the Slaughter Boys are, Nevada, all over the country. And each list pays out cash at the end of each session: 300 for first, 200 for second, and 100 for first.
How long are the sessions, Jack?
The first session we did was 9 months, and we decided that's a little too long. So that session ends at the end of September, and we are going to be changing that up, but we're going to be making that announcement probably in the next week to 10 days of where we're going to be. Whether it's 4 months, 6 months, 5 months, 3 months, we're going to do something different with that. But we wanted people to have a chance and an opportunity to see it. And we've had over 400 people join the Mob Hit List the first year. We're really excited about the growth of this because it's something that lets people who, you have a table in your basement and you can't get out on the weekends because you have a family life and you work and everything, but you can play with your kids. You can get your kids playing. You can play with your buddy across the street. You can do those kind of people getting into pool, but getting them on the competitive side. They get that competitive juices, and here I'm getting on my soapbox again, but all of a sudden we're building that billiard economy from the ground up. We're getting people starting in the 200, 300, 400 range in Fargo. They fall in love with it. They buy their first cue. All of a sudden they start seeing the improvement there. Oh, now they go buy a low deflection shaft. Although now they've got a carbon fiber and they keep moving up. That helps boost the economy, everything going up. So our goal with this is really just to get more people playing competitively. Now, the flyer that you've got up is also the big end of session, end of year tournament. Salado is adding $3,000 to the Mob Hit List 9-ball shootout. This is on bar tables at Griff's, and it's what we call a tiered tournament. We're going to have four preliminary brackets A, B, C, and D, and the top 25% of Fargo rates will be in the A bracket, the next 25%, the next 25%, and the bottom 25%. And they'll all play handicap matches coming out, and the top 25% of each bracket advance to a tiered format coming out. So we're guaranteeing one person from each bracket no worse than third place in the cash.
That's
so
pretty
everybody's
awesome.
competitive in the money. Everybody has a chance.
Well, it sounds like you guys got a lot going on, a lot of balls in the air, and it's creative. But more important, like I said from the beginning, it's unique, and that's what I like about you guys from doing these Fargo rated style events with big money buy-ins, because it can get pretty dicey when you're playing. And I've sweated some of these matches via your streams online of just guys that I know. My buddy Miguel, who I think got second at one of your events. But it really makes watching amateur events, like for me, for someone who's not playing, but gets me engaged because you know what's on the line, right? And that both guys have traveling from across the country, and it was a whole big thing to go and get there, and they're grinding, and they got a big payday on the horizon. A little bit of heartache too, depending on what side you're on. But it really just makes pool unique in a different style. So my hat's off to you for that, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I always love what you're doing. All the different podcasts you put on and supporting pool. You give a voice to parts of pool that we don't hear and know about on a regular basis. And that's always, I love that aspect of what you do.
Well, we try our best, and it's not always going to be a home run, but we'll hit some singles here or there whenever we can. But the main thing is that we want to support whatever's going on in pool. There's going to be issues here or there, but we want to go and highlight whether it's junior players or people in the industry, events that are going on. We want to broaden our horizons as well. And it's guys like you, Jack, who push the envelope and want to do things differently, make me want to go and do things differently, right? Not do the same shit that's been going on for the last couple of years, whether it's online or tournaments in your case or whatever it may be. Be unique, be an individual, and go and pave your own way, man. And you guys are doing it.
Yeah, and I have to tip my hat to both Jason Osborne and my better half, Rebecca Hendricks, is there. it's a true team effort. People see me because I'm one of the tournament directors. I'm the face, and I'm definitely on Facebook way too much. But it's not just me here. They do a ton of work behind the scenes, and Rebecca runs the tournaments like this weekend. Actually, this weekend Jason's going to be at Putters. I'll be at Rum Runner. We split it up, and it's a team event, and I love it. It's the best part about it is being able to work together to put something great out there, and that's where you get the good ideas when you get brainstorming. You can throw something at the wall and see if it sticks. We even tried the WTF tournament, the race to 1 on the winner's side, race to 11 on the loser side. We got 14 players for that. Still a good payout, and we're going to try it again next year. We'll see how it goes.
Where can they go and find your information, Jack? And if I'm a player, how can I go and check out your calendar and get registered and all that fun stuff?
Absolutely. Go to mobbilliards.com, mobbilliards.com. That's our website. We have all our tournaments that are scheduled on there. Our email address is mob.billiards@gmail.com, mob.billiards@gmail.com. And I also, you can always text me. You can call me, text me, but texting's best. My phone number is 520-404-5533.
What are you doing? That's the internet, man. You don't just give random people your number.
My phone number is all over the internet, Mike. It's already there, so don't worry about it.
You may get like a fatal attraction on your hand, my man. You never know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's none of that. But it's you can always text me if you need to. But any questions, and I'm one of those guys that I don't consider things just our business. If you're asking about tournaments, I'm going to tell you who's running whatever in the area. We just want to promote and support pool no matter who's running it.
Well, we appreciate what you do, Jack. Like I said, I'm a fan of yours, and maybe one day I'll make it out there to one of your things if I ever get Fargo rate established good enough to go and play. But in the meantime, next time I see you guys out in Vegas, we'll make sure and knock them around on the bar table.
Excellent.
I appreciate
Looking
you
forward
coming
to
on.
it, Mike.
And more importantly, for me to you, honestly, I appreciate your patience because it's been a process to go and get Jack on. I'll hit him up here, there, and then I'll be like, let's try this time, and then it falls through. Let's try that time and it falls through. But I appreciate your understanding and working with me. And yeah, man, I wish you all the success. And let's talk some more in the future, Jack.
Absolutely. Thank you much.